Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim, Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim, Assalamu-alaikum, Jiayanu, Pakhair-agale, Ni Hao, Chunashumme, Washmale, Ohai Gonzaimas, Guten Morgen, Hola, Boyo, Privyet, Kaifahal, Aleshuma Chatore, Ahlan Wasar, Marhaba, Buna, Mucho, Gracias, Swabia, Balli Kariaya, Hoj Galden, and Ayosaya, Huyamora, Chivatochi, Aljod, Kalimera, Khairutan, and a very warm welcome to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and are watching World this morning on the 2nd of January 2024. Ladies and gentlemen, we hope and pray that everybody out there is doing wonderfully well and that you're ready to kickstart your day with us. But first things first, as you all know that I've been joined by my very well-learned colleague who happens to be Ms. Hajra Satti. So Hajra, Assalamu Alaikum. How do you feel today and how was your way towards work today?
Walaikum Assalam. Thank you so much, Azad, for introducing me. Jazakallah khair. It's the new year and I think we are feeling the intensity of the winter season and especially the smog season. I don't know if it's smog or if it's fog, but it was very hazy, especially when I was driving here to my office, and we have to control our speed a lot because you literally could not see who is coming in front of us. But I think this is one of the, I would say, festivity, or I would think one of the important features of the winter season. The entire smog or fog or whatever you call it. I think this is fog, it's not smog.
Exactly. So, you know, Hajra, one of our team members, while he was on the way to workplace, you know, he actually got a chance to kind of record it as well.
Oh, wonderful.
So I think that you've done a phenomenal job by being on time, first of all. And, you know, so we do kind of experience this phenomena over here in Islamabad. And since I was born, raised over here, I've always witnessed this. But, you know, these are the kind of visuals that we used to witness in December or late December as well. I guess that, you know, all my life, this is probably for the very first time that we are experiencing this phenomena in January now as well. And to be very honest, I think this phenomena was usually experienced somewhere around 6 or 7 in the morning, not at 9 a.m. in the morning. And these are the visuals, ladies and gentlemen, somewhat around 7 to 8 a.m. And, you know, when I kind of set off for my workplace as well, that was somewhere around 8:45. And I was like, yeah, what's happening? You know, this is for the very first time that we're experiencing fog, and that too this late. So in Lahore, you know, because of smog, you know, it's kind of a mixture. You certainly get that all through the day and through the night as well. But over here in Islamabad, I mean, you know, not this late.
I mean, I think I would I think I would little bit disagree with you, because I do remember, especially for the past 2-3 years, when I was doing the news shift in the morning. So I would witness this the phenomena of fog or smog or whatever you call it. And I do remember that there was a particular day when it was so intense that I think it took almost 2 hours to let me drive from my home to workplace, because it was so intense and I could not, visibility was extremely zero and I could not see anything. And but obviously these are the nature, this is the changing seasonalities of the nature. And one of the things that I would like to talk about, and Shahzad and I discussed yesterday.
And before you move on to that, there's just one simple request, and that is that please make sure, because you all know that there's going to be fog outside. You know, I would actually request all of you people.
Now. It's decreasing now.
Yeah, even if it's decreasing, you know, probably because this is for the very first time. Today is the first day when we're actually experiencing it in Islamabad at this point of time. So just make sure that you leave a little before whatever usual time
plan
you leave,
accordingly,
you know, for workplace, and then make sure that you keep on hazards on, your headlights on, and drive slowly, and don't be on your phone. That's something which is very risky, especially when it's foggy.
That's very true. But now let's talk about a wonderful phenomena that can be witnessed in Pakistan, and not just Pakistan, obviously across the world, which is the stargazing. And especially the places that are really amazing then we can witness is in Balochistan particularly, or in the areas of Sindh. And especially winters is the best season, because this is the season where often the air is cold and you can get to witness the clear skies. And since in winters you see that the dark often sets in often early, so you do not have to wait for very long. But stargazing is a phenomena where actually people are witnessing or observing these celestial bodies, these stars.
This one's the Orion Nebula. You know, if there are people out there, you know, who know about it as well, please continue.
Okay. Yes. And they usually observe it through the unaided eye, or maybe through through telescopes and or maybe through some another I mean, I would say the instrument, yes, instrument or tool, but it's a wonderful phenomena. And Shahzad and I also maintain for a very long time that whenever you interact with the celestial bodies, be it the mountains, be it the stars, you always get to experience your own self, and you get to question that who you are, and because they are so infinite that you remember the wahdaniyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the unity of God, the oneness of God, because these are all creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then they make you question as of what is your purpose in this universe, what is your purpose in this life, and how are you going to execute your purpose, because I don't think so death is the culmination of life. It's just a transition from this path to another path, right? And these stars, these mountains interacting with nature always help you align with your nature, with your originality, with your asal, I would like to say, and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And not just that, imagine that in addition to that, even over here, you know, in this world, for all of those people who are navigating through the stars is something which is very important for them. You know, it's always the North Star where people would actually look at the big beer, the little beer. You know, we've spoken about the Orient Nebula.
So I have a military background, and when I was young, so my father used to teach us, you know, this is the North Star, because North Star is very bright star in the entire sky, and say that we are taught, especially in our exercises, how to navigate, especially when there is no light and you have to perform some sort of, you know, actions or exercises, and how you need to navigate that. And in the past, especially the ancient civilization, so we think that we are the civilization, we are the highest point of our intellectual evolution, which is not like that. The ancient civilization, the Egyptians, they were very pro at navigating because of these astronomical events, and people of Egypt could even predict by looking at the stars what the event is about to come. So there is entire Surah Yusuf in Quran, where Hazrat Yusuf alayhi salam could predict what events are going to unfold for the king of the Egypt, because I think from Syria he was transported to the Egypt where he was jailed, and when he came very close to the king because of his very accurate predictions, and obviously he was a prophet of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he had some particular protection, he has some very particular protection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on him. But it's just very fascinating how those ancient civilizations were so advanced in predicting these astronomical events just by gazing at the stars, right?
And for everybody who's out there, if you want to kind of be a part of, you know, the stargazing, all you need to do is kind of go to Balochistan. It's a very nerdy event.
And there's an entire society out there.
Yeah, around astronomers, and all of those people are out there, and they're conversing, and they have these heated debates. It's around those muddy volcanoes, so you can particularly go over there. And one of my own experiences, I think, was at Deosai Plains, because it looks like as if you were just around the stars as well. But while we were talking about it, while we were talking about, you know, how, you know, people were at a level where they could actually understand, I think we have something in particular to discuss about that as well. Because when we talk about our awareness, when you spoke about that, you know, how, you know, we might have evolved to the best of our brains as well, and that might not be the case. I think every now and then we do kind of come across, okay, yeah, I think that we need to learn and learn again. So imagine that there was a time when people would speak about visual art forms, you know, and when we look at these stars, you know, all of these visual arts that we see created by Allah Almighty.
And it is said that nature imitates the art and art imitates the nature. That's a very famous saying.
You know, which is why I put that example out there as well. So, you know, for everybody to be out there to kind of take inspiration from the creations of Allah Almighty is something which you would actually pen down most of the time, or with a stroke of, you know, brush and
brushes
and paint, and you will express yourself, and it has been a form of expression. But when we talk about sustainable living within the very genre of diverse visual art forms, that's something where it, you know, comes out with a question mark, and that's exactly what we are discussing today as well. So without any further ado, Haja, would you like to introduce our wonderful guest over here today?
We are very glad that we have been joined by Miss Binishani. She is a visual artist teacher, and she also happens to be an educationist and also an artist. Assalamu alaikum, Miss Binishan. Thank you so much for coming to our show.
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Assalamu alaikum, and good morning to all present here, and especially to the viewers of World this morning. I am so thrilled to be here today to talk about the you know, dynamic world of visual arts and its powerful possibilities, palette of possibilities that can empower, you know, boys and girls at the same time.
Obviously, thank you so much for very succinctly putting it out there, because it is said about the Shahzad, you are yourself an artist, and it is said about the arts Okay, I think I would like to stick to the journalist label, but obviously. And arts is something that can bridge a lot of gap and that can dash out or that can de-hyphenate the prejudices, because it's a universal body, it's a universal language, and people can connect because of the arts, right? Do you think it's an equalizer or it's a divider, because not a lot of people have the access to the arts, right?
Thing is this, that if I'll go back, because I have started my career in 2007, and to be very honest, Hajra, it was really difficult for me to inculcate into the students initially, and even when it come to the parent body, when I need to address them, I talked to my head and I said that I really want to sit in the PTM, and I really want to create this awareness among the community, because it's not just that we cannot take it as individuals. It's actually that it's actually creates a bridge. When we are developing it, being an educator, you can say, even obviously I need to deal with my students. So if I'll be specifically dealing, if I'll say that, if I'll think that okay, I'll be just dealing with my students, no, it's not like that. I need to that take the parents in loop. Being educator, I need to that we need to revise, and we need to look into the curriculum as well. So alhamdulillah, I am blessed that I am a part of this Beacon House school system.
And when we take a good look at the curriculum, so let's talk about the diverse visual art forms. So how many different art forms do you think that are out there? Because we were having a discussion just before this, so and you said that event management happens to be a form of a visual art form, and I was like, really, that's something which came to my mind for the very first time. So how many different forms are out there?
It's true. Actually, if you are just going to look at the diverse forms of visual art, so you can say that event management, decoration, painting, printmaking, cooking, even you can say photography, that film, graphic designing. How can that in this tech driven world, how can we brush aside the digital art?
Because of artificial intelligence now.
Exactly.
I think we can do that. We do have a lot of creation of art, that to buy computers now. So don't you think that for us to kind of speak about the sustainability for people, do you think that the concept will kind of certainly be understood by people when now you have machines creating a lot of arts and different art forms, they're working on it? Why do we want people to kind of invest their time in that?
In which, in this?
In artificial intelligence, we do see so much creation of art.
Time is evolving. With the passage of time, passively, now the big part is that the enduring idea is basically that we are dealing with the digital natives. Now that we are not.
I like it, digital natives, yes.
Yes, we are not dealing with a child who is being just look back. When we have just started work onto the pen and paper, and we were thinking that because people are having this concept that art is just about that when we sketch something. Even I was having some talk with a guest speaker upstairs, and she was saying that it's just about the sketching. No. We just need to that review this thing. That if just take the example of this platform right now where we're sitting, even these cameramans behind the stage, to to all of you, to all of us, everybody is actually that they are emphasizing into these visual elements, how a makeup artist is actually looking for the visual appeal. A stage designer or a set designer is actually looking into the color theory, that which color and they are obviously dealing with the spaces.
So let's talk about the societal norms and stereotypes over here as well. While we're discussing, because since I mentioned about artificial intelligence, and you have been very keen and very kind on kind of replicating that, okay, each and every member plays their very pivotal role. Let's talk about, when we talk about diverse visual art forms, what are the stereotypes associated with it? Or what are the societal norms? How do people think about it?
In my opinion, artists are often using their artworks to address these, that societal norms, and they are addressing, challenging perspective. Through art, easily an artist, or I think even if I'll specifically talk about the girls and boys, because there, that over here we are having a little, that mindset that, oh, this is just girls, so this is the actually girls part. Their visual art is just for the girls and not for the boys. No, not at all. That in this era, that we are dealing these digital natives, and that when even specifically if I'll talk about the boys, so boys, when they are that having this art education, because the first thing that I have to mention over here, that the importance of art education, that's very important. That's very important actually, because if you're having the awareness, you can, boys, even specifically boys, that they can, it provide an avenue to break, that traditional gender discrimination and all that, and plus, that it inculcates the artistry skills.
True.
Either, that you are, dealing with the, even nowadays you can say that even a small thing, you need to design, just talk about this social media.
No, I can give an example. Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. So imagine that there are people out there who would judge you based on your Instagram profile, because Instagram is more about pictures and how they need to be professional and how you need to put up stories and how the captions need to be out there. Yeah, so I think that we might be a little weak in it as well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously this is one way of looking at it, but I think there's lots of awareness which is going on regarding these. I think the artificial curation that is going on the Instagram, and very carefully people are trying to portray their lives. Yep. But now let's talk about, when you talk about there needs to be awareness regarding the arts education, and it can be a barrier. It can break the barriers of the gender stereotypes and all of the discrimination and prejudices that are happening here. But when we talk about the scope and when we talk about the art forms, right? So a lot of artists, they often decry, and it's not just in Pakistan or across the world, that they are not given the desired respect that they deserve, and because their art form is not respected enough. So what is the scope out there, especially for some students who are an artist, because you often see that their parents want them to go for some government jobs or from the particular jobs, and they're not allowed to pursue their passion, yes, right? Or they are pursuing a second job apart from pursuing their
passion. So what's your take on that?
I think time, it will take some time, because now you see that I even mentioned earlier that I even, it's been a long journey to make my parent body. Yeah. Initially, parents were not, that they were even not concerned about this visual art. They were saying like, okay, fine, it's a fun subject of our, child. But not now, when I started, giving them grades, and I started giving them marks, like, in a few, in a little time, I was having a crowd in my small room, and my administration were really concerned that, but Binish, what are you actually doing? That why these people are like into, so that it now, and I think gradually and passively people are, having and showing their inclination towards this artistry skills. That how can we brush aside photography, event management? Now you know that even students, even youth is that into this thing that, okay, fine, if my parent is, because they are right now, they are in the middle. Right now, Hajra, we are in the middle. Like students cannot just pursue it as their, that solid career. They are doing it as a side.
So what would you recommend? Now, this is something which we would want you to kind of talk about, because you happen to be one of those.
I think that we need to revise the curriculum. That's the, that we need to train the teachers. We need to, that revise the system, and, until unless we are not going to have this art education, we cannot create.
That's fine. That's not what I'm saying. But what would you recommend, for people who are listening to us today? Do you think that, picking up on any of the art form and keeping it as your passion and profession on number one, and on number two, you do a very different sort of a job, whatever it may probably be?
Then or do you want the art form determined to be, about
or do you want the art form to be on number two, and then on number one you prioritize a profession, which may be you being a doctor, engineer, or anything else?
I think that this is the high time. This is the high time. Yeah. We need to be really determined. If you really want to pursue it, any of the form of, that visual art, so you need to be, first of all, you need to make up your mind. Okay. And then you can create your surroundings. Okay. Then, then
but
the
what would you recommend now?
So I would recommend that they can, that first of all, they need to be focused, that which kind of, which kind of form they really want to pick up. Okay. And then obviously they need to, train themselves, then they need some awareness. And then, that come in the fields, there is a lot of margin, there's a lot of scope.
And God forbid if it doesn't work for them then.
I think I do agree with Ms. Binish in this aspect, because when she talked about we need to redesign our curriculum, she's talking about, I think, breaking the self-limiting beliefs that this system is designed in a way that puts into a child, right? So, like she mentioned that it's some sort of a fun subject, so it's not a serious subject, so you do not need to invest your energies into it just because, you're not going to get the marks, or maybe some science subjects are not as important. So I think we need to reprogram the entire curriculum in this.
I've also several times we have, addressed this issue that this subject actually needs to be a mandatory part of the curriculum.
That's fine, that's fine. And we truly agree to that as well. But don't you think that it certainly depends on where you are located or situated as well? Now imagine that, probably people over here in Pakistan, we might not get a lot of people who love the art, who are out there, who are at the exhibitions.
But
you go to Paris, you go to Europe.
Time has changed. We need to, that.
That's fine. That's fine, but it'll take time now. But so imagine that if somebody is going to pick up on visual arts, probably a place like Germany or anywhere in Europe or Paris, that might be a better place for them to survive. It's all about the kind of ecosystem that you are in as well. We do want a lot of people who love different art forms, who value your work. Because whenever we come down to an artist over here, how many can you name? Go ahead. Can you name a few?
Over here, obviously, if you go back, you can just that Ghulam Rasool
Mansoor
and
Rahi, for example,
and even there are actually, the problem is that there are even so practicing artists. Even I am myself a practicing artist.
Mashallah.
But obviously, that
and there's not a lot of awareness.
Aisha Kazmi is one of that she's also associated with this that education as well.
Yeah.
And she's a practicing artist. So
She's
there are many
on
artists and
show.
people. Shahzad, thing is that if we'll just keep this thing in mind, that okay, fine, I'll get the fame out of this subject, and then I am a well
That's
settled.
not what I'm saying, but let me complete it now. Because I've been visiting NC as well, made in Rawalpindi, made in Lahore, and I've seen some great artists and a lot of people. And there's a cult. You go to these 5-star hotels like Serena and Marriott, they have their actually making sure that they're going to orchestrate exhibitions as well, and that's what they've been doing. So I think that there needs to be more awareness on social media and channels like these, that that people get to know more about art and that they are invited into exhibitions.
Obviously, that until unless we are that we are not going to have this kind of awareness
or
among the people, and conversation and dialogue, because if if you'll think that we can deal these things with just simply generating a dialogue in between a few people, so obviously we cannot do that. So that's why I said initially, Shahzad, that we need to revise, that we need to take it, we need to revise it from the basic.
And how do you see that curriculum? So how do you think that it needs to be instilled in a curriculum?
I think it's already there in the curriculum, right?
It is there, but actually, Hajar, the problem is that I am talking about my system, Beacon House School System. Alhamdulillah, I am dealing with advanced curriculum, where we are, that we are taking, that we are dealing with 3 dimensions, creative work, visual elements, whenever we are designing a lesson plan, and critical thinking. That are the very important word that I would like to mention over here, because whenever we are using, we are brush aside these critical thinking. We're just thinking that art is just for the sake of painting and brushing and putting it in. Why don't we think that visual? What is visual thinking?
True.
Do we have time to stand and stare and appreciate the art?
That's true.
Yeah, I mean, at times.
So, and that we can address many societal norms
because we are
easily, even current affairs.
So why is it that as soon as we are into our GCSEs and university and whatnot, there's no art form left behind. There's hardly any sports week taking place. So
now there
how
are
do you think that we
universities.
need to work on that?
Shahzad, there are universities where that even now, because I told you that now passively and gradually people are coming towards it.
Okay.
That initially there were no education for filmmaking even.
True.
If I'll talk about myself, when I've done my masters, and that I was dealing with this very sharp and smart students.
Yep.
So I need to that at that time I think that Binish, you need to upgrade yourself, because I'm a continuous learner.
Yep.
So I done my graphic designing course from Punjab, and alhamdulillah I topped it. And that since that time I'm designing my skins, and I am facilitating my school, and I am handling my social media according, social media of all forms, Facebook, Insta, blog.
So you need to be in a continuous process of learning.
Exactly.
And the colleges and universities who are actually deciding the curriculum, they really need to be more aware of how the visual art forms really need to be inculcated into their curriculum, so that they can learn a little better. Wow.
And even that if I'm just going to tell you about that my BNU journey. So people were, when I pursue it as that I started my MPhil, so my people even around me, my colleagues, they were thinking that it's just art education and a visual art teacher is supposed to take it. But honestly, I would love to tell it to everyone that right now in my batch, there are people are having that they're from different backgrounds. There is a English teacher, maths teacher, and people from different and diverse background. And we are having this journey, and we are that moving
I think
ahead
that the
together.
conversations have started, and how much does it require that we convert those conversations into actions? That is the question mark. But I think the first stage is the awareness, the conversation. And I do see that the art schools are flourishing a lot across Pakistan, and a lot of people are going into this field and pursuing it. So hopefully, inshallah, in the days to come, we will see a vibrant art scenario in Pakistan that was once there back, especially when Pakistan was created, because we see lots of great names in our artist fraternity there. So thank you so much, Ms. Binish, for coming here, for having this wonderful conversation.
And another art form?
Obviously, and so we were having someone who is from the academia, but now why not have someone who is actually an artist and is actually inside in the field. So after a short break, we are going to have a conversation with a legend here, so don't go anywhere. Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome back, and obviously before going on to the break, I alluded to the fact that what are we going to discuss, especially in this segment, and like I talked about it before, that we are going to talk about the artist fraternity, because we have someone here from the artist fraternity who is going to enlighten us on a very interesting conversation. But before that, it is said that arts has no boundaries, and arts has a universal language. So you are there anywhere in this geographical features, in any particular terrain, in any particular environment, you can always appreciate the art, right?
True.
Because arts is something, an art form is something and that fosters inclusion, that fosters dignity, that fosters respect, and lots of other things. And it is often said about the music that music is, what do you call it, a food for your soul, right?
Yeah.
Because you can always appreciate the good music. So without any further ado, we do not want to monopolize our conversation and introduce our very worthy guest here, who happens to be Mr. Junaid Sami Khan. He's an artist. Assalamu alaikum, sir, and thank you so much for coming to our show.
It's wonderful to have you over here.
Nice to be here.
Exactly, and it's wonderful to have you over here as well. Specifically, you know, for all our audiences who are out there, you know, they know the entire hierarchy as well, mashallah, you know. So you happen to be younger brother to Adnan Sami Khan
That's
Sahab.
right, that's right.
You know, he sings as well, you singing, Adnan Sami Khan Sahab's son is singing. You know, so everybody's singing in your family. It's a lot of competition within the family. So you know, to be at a place, because I still remember you know, your elder brother's program on Pakistan television, where he used to be somewhere in Baraku playing piano and whatnot. So how was it growing next to a person who's actually contributed all over the world towards the music industry? How do you think it has inspired you always?
Of course.
And have you ever felt pressured about it? I mean,
I've always been confident about my singing.
Alhamdulillah.
And growing up with him, I saw him grow from 0 to 100. You know, so
yeah.
It's an honor to be his brother, and
it's an honor to have you over here as well,
to
kind of speak about your musical journey. So the last time you were here, we spoke about your journey quite a lot.
Right.
But Junaid bhai, you know, don't you think that the music we grew up listening to is not the music now that we listen to as well? You know, for what our kids love these days is not what we used to love listening to as well. So how do you think, sorry, in your perception, that the musical journey or the perception or the love for music have actually kind of fallen into too many genres out there,
or
right?
is evolved, I would say, yeah.
I live in my past music. I live in the 70s, 80s, 90s.
Wonderful.
A few new songs, and I'm not too much in touch with the
music which is being produced today.
These days, yeah. But I know one thing, that good music would always reach you. 90s, 80s, we had no WhatsApp, we had no Facebook, we had no YouTube, etc. But it would always reach you somehow, you know.
And it was always about, you know, going to your father or mother and be like, can I get like 120 rupees? I need to buy this new cassette, and only for one song.
One song.
It used to be one song as well. So, but you know, for a musician, it's always important to kind of be aware of the kind of music which is coming out every single day. As Haja has actually pointed out, that it's the evolution.
Yes.
So do you keep an eye out? Okay,
of course I do.
Chal kya raha hai,
of course I do. I do listen to radio, but nothing appeals to me as such too much.
But your music is modern too.
I know, but I mean, actually, a good melody is forever, you know. Chahe wo from 70s hai, chahe wo jo bhi ho. So I don't really like too much of the latest stuff going on. But of course, I keep my ears open and eyes open.
How do you compare these two eras, for example, the modern era of the 21st century? Because I do find that there's lots of loud music, and especially people who are fond of listening to the 60s, 70s and 80s, like you mentioned, it has lots of soulful substance into it. And those were very timeless themes, very timeless music. We still hear it. We were not born in that era, but we still sort of, we can resonate with those lyrics, right? Why do you feel that depth has gone now, or it's more of a fast and fury, and how do I define it? Rock and roll and loud
Nowadays,
music.
you must have a nice video. And if the video is not nice, people might not watch it. But, in 80s and 90s and 70s, there was hardly a video as such. But it was the melody which would hit you, And
so which is why I think what we have done is that we are actually going to play one of your songs as well, Dil Tanha Awara, and we certainly want people to kind of resonate with the melody, and then once we're going to come back, let's see, how our moods are going to be uplifted as well. So ladies and gentlemen, this is Dil Tanha Awara by Junaid Sami Khan. Let's go ahead, let's take a good listen.
सहारा दिल तन्हा आवारा यादों में बेचारा ये रह ना पाएगा ढूंढे तेरा सहारा दिल तन्हा आवारा यादों में बेचारा कैसे भूलूं वो यादें वो बातें तेरी वो भीगी बरसातें वो रातें तेरी कैसे भूलूं वो यादें वो बातें तेरी वो भीगी बरसातें वो रातें तेरी वो तेरा आ जाना और आके ना जाना ढूंढे हैं आज भी नदिया का वो किनारा दिल तन्हा आवारा यादों में बेचारा
That's wonderful. And Shehzad, nowadays, because you read a lot of self-help literature, right? You're invested in those books. So you will always find that all of those self-help gurus, they kind of want you to invest yourself into the music, because music can be very uplifting force and it can be very therapeutic, right? Yes, exactly. So Mr. Junaid, so what sort of genres do you listen to more, and what inspired you to create this particular video?
My favorite singer of all time, as I keep saying, is Michael Jackson.
Wow. Yeah, me too.
I mean, forget the nose job, forget the black, white, and see his soul, see what he gave to the world,
True.
His God-given talent. That's a different music, but I'll just sing anything which makes me feel good, which I can relate to. I don't like it, I don't sing it,
Yeah, exactly. But it's more
heart
about
must be in it. Heart must
yeah, how you feel it, right?
Yeah,
so
heart must be in it.
Yeah, because whenever I'm because I do write myself, so I've written a lot of lyrics. I might not sing, but I've written a lot of lyrics for myself, and I just read them, at times when I feel it, and they just come naturally. So how often it is for you that you literally need to feel it before you put it out there for the people to listen to it? Because you mentioned about Michael Jackson, and that's something which I read about Michael Jackson. So Michael Jackson will produce a song, and then keep on listening to the same song for next 3 years or 4 years, and keep on redoing it unless he thought that, okay, that's the kind of music quality that I need to put out there. And even today, when you listen to Michael Jackson songs which are out there on cassettes and CDs, they still sound better than a lot of music production today.
He was way ahead of his time.
Way. So how important it is for you to kind of feel it before you put it out for the world?
I'll sing anything which I like, which I can relate to. well, you know, there's a signal from your heart which says green light.
True.
You say, okay, I want this.
That's very true. And apart from singing, so what are your hobbies? We would like to explore you as a person, because you're a celebrity sitting here, belong to a very, I would say, celebrated family of the artists, right? So what apart from the singing?
I love squash, even though I've put on weight again.
Oh, wonderful.
It's a relapse I've had, but I hope to again lose weight.
Okay,
I'm a big fan of Jahangir Janshi Khan, and that's also my passion. I know a lot about squash. I've been playing since '86.
Right.
Wow.
1986.
And but you know, imagine that, you know, in Pakistan, a lot of people are actually in love with cricket too as well.
Of course, I know.
So do you follow?
I'll be honest, though,
cricket?
I don't follow cricket too much at all.
Okay, so it's more of squash for you.
वो भी जब थे 80s, 90s.
Yeah,
I don't
Shoaib
know what's
Akhtar,
the-
Shahid Khan, Afridi, Waqar Yunus, Wasim Akram.
Jahangir Janshi की बात कर
It's a Jahangir. So you're really going to
Squash
stick to
champion.
I tried changing the dimension of it, but it didn't really.
Old
take
timer,
I think that's wonderful. But as an artist, you know, we do at times indulge ourselves into activities which we love doing the most. So, you know, so for you, other than squash, what other activities would you always love to?
I like to walk. Even though lately I've not been exercising, but I like to go for walks and, you know, things like that.
Just be with yourself.
Go outside, be
sit
with
down
nature,
for conversations, have a cup of tea.
Yeah.
You know, because everybody's so interested always, you know, so imagine that there have been scenarios where people would come up to me and be like, you know, back in those days when we used to have long hair, sir, aap shampoo kaun se use karte ho? Or what is your skincare routine? So I'm sorry, I'm not going to pose you these questions.
No.
But whatever you are as a person, I would want you to kind of let your amazing viewers know.
So let's also explore what sort of a childhood you got, because obviously growing up in such a celebrated family of the artists, I'm pretty sure you must have your own moments or your own moments.
And then a military background too.
That's right. That's my father, yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
My father was a war hero.
Yes.
Ashraf Sami Khan. He fought the 1965 war. He was the best pilot, Dimashaji, and he got Sitara Jurat and all that.
And since you are the youngest child in the family as well,
spoiled.
Yeah, that's what I was coming to, because imagine either it's the eldest, you know, who's being loved by the family the most, or either...
I think eldest is a very pressured in the terms of, you know, having a good
which is
role
why
model.
we do have a middle child syndrome, you know, so there's a syndrome which we call the middle child syndrome.
Is like, you know,
so how was it for you, you know, to be pampered most of the times, or do you think it was as hard as for anybody else?
Or share some of your favorite childhood memories with us.
Childhood, I think, is a very carefree days. You know, you're not under as much tension as you keep growing up. It's I think it's one of the best times ever. I stuttered as a child, you know. But thank God, I think now it's okay now. So that was one major handicap which I had. So I had a very nice childhood, but with this handicap, you know.
But nobody can say that, you know. You're singing songs.
Actually, singing, you know, people who stutter can sing fluently. So I never had a problem. I don't know, maybe it comes from the right side of the brain. I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
So I had no issues with that. But as for speaking,
so can you explain some of your favorite childhood memories for us?
Favorite childhood memories?
This is the one I live with.
Yes. Because we have lots of good.
I was in Abu Dhabi from 1979 to 89.
Right.
And it was a very nice time. Me and my brother had a band, in fact. Legend uska naam tha. I was 9 years old. He was 13.
Right.
So, and we won 4 talent shows in a year from in our school, American school Tamara.
Right.
So we used to sing Elvis Presley songs, which I still listen to.
But you know, that's the exact reason. So imagine that, you know, just before you know, in a previous segment, we were talking about how parents need to be more aware about, you know, visual art forms and diverse visual art forms. Back in 1979, I still remember that people would hardly kind of, you know, grandparents would hardly allow any kids to kind of listen to songs or music, or you know, it was a taboo. Bacha tumhara gana ga raha, kharab ho jayega, you know, things like that. You know, we didn't have that much awareness. So imagine how much do you think that your parents might have contributed towards you guys progressing in a field where you've set the tone for the rest of the country. Alhamdulillah.
My father always said, do your education, and then do whatever you want. But I will add to that, you know, if your son is a little different, everyone is different.
Obviously.
Everyone's got their own talent.
Yes.
True.
Let him be himself, whatever it is, for whatever reason, you know. He wants to, you know, just don't enforce things on him, okay? Aapne, you know, doctor banna hai, lawyer banna hai. Don't follow everybody. Just try to follow your heart. It's easier said than done.
Right.
But,
obviously, and how did you follow your passion towards the arts? Like we were discussing about it in the first segment, that it's a very difficult decision sometimes for lots of people out there, because it's not very sustainable. I mean, now there are lots of opportunities are opening up, but I think back then this artists were struggling a lot, right? So did you felt pressured at times that if you follow your pursuit of the passion, I mean, it might not be very sustainable, and obviously we all have families to sustain.
Of course, I know. I did my MBA because I had to.
Okay.
Now that that degree is in my cupboard doing nothing.
Okay.
But I had to do it. But I know what you mean. I mean, thank God I came from a financially strong background, okay background, you know. My father worked very hard. We are the spoiled ones. But so that's how I can pursue this. But I know it's not everyone cannot. It's not possible for everybody.
When we come down to life as an artist, at times it is very challenging as well. You know, so would you like to kind of, you know, put it out in front of our viewers as well, that, you know, that these were the times that were very challenging, alhamdulillah, that, you know, I got to kind of come back from there as well, because that's something where people will draw inspiration from you, that okay, you know, if Junaid bhai can do it, we can do it too.
Yeah, you need to have lots of patience. You have faith in God. You have there are times you feel down, you feel like giving up, but you have to have patience. I mean, in any field, especially this field. True. People think Adnan Sami ka bhai hai, you know, there are no issues. No, I also have issues, but you know, and then he's there. He's not here anymore. So I'm like,
yeah, everybody's got their own life. That's what people need to understand.
But I'm still struggling, but thank God,
Alhamdulillah.
Right,
I mean, we don't take that as struggle, to be very honest.
Right, and I'm pretty sure, Shehzad, you can also relate to this fact that in every artist's life, or I think generally in humans' life, there come weak moments where you feel things are not going where they're supposed to go, or they're not aligning with your goals, or there's some obstacles in your path. So how do you tread that particular point, or make sure that, you know, your art form or your passion does not die in that very weak moment, or, you know, moment which is not very supportive of?
You know, the higher you go, I think it also becomes difficult. You know, jealousies come if you're successful. One example I'll give, whether he was guilty or innocent, Michael Jackson had a child molestation case against him, which was a nightmare for, I mean, it was a nightmare. I'm just saying that the higher you go, you have to be strong mentally, and you
need to be more resilient as well, and there will be a lot of public eye onto you, and you certainly need to be careful about different things as well. Which actually kind of brings me to this thought, because, you know, while we are on television, me and Haja, we would always make sure that, you know, when we are out there publicly, you know, there are a few habits of yours that you need to control. It can be anything. It might be poking your nose. Unfortunately, that's not that I'm referring to. How do you think that it shapes your personality? Do you think that it's a natural way of shaping your personality, or it's because of that public eye pressure that you are actually kind of adjusting to it?
I try my best to be myself.
MashaAllah.
Facebook pe jata hoon. I'm not Steven Spielberg. I might make stupid videos, but just follow your heart.
So whatever you feel like doing,
just do it. You know?
And that's your message for today as well.
There's a limit to it, of course, but try to be yourself as much as possible.
Exactly. I think that this is a perfect message that we would like to wrap our show with as well. But so what we're going to do is that we're going to say our goodbyes. And towards the end, we would request you to kind of sing us or sing our viewers a song as well.
Sure.
We got 46 different countries. For everybody, ladies and gentlemen, who are out there, follow your heart. Please make sure that you follow your dreams. But for that, it's important that you dream about something. All right? Good morning. Junaid bhai, take it away.
My first song, 2013, मैं चला तो चला, मैं चला चलता रहा मैं तेरे बिन, वो तेरे बिन ऐसी अदा से जो तूने देखा दिल मेरा तोड़ा, तन्हा क्यों छोड़ा, बेचैन हूँ मैं ओ मेरी जाना, अब ना सताना, तू आ भी जाना तो चला, चलता रहा मैं तेरे बिन, वो तेरे बिन.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, look after yourselves. Until next time, it's a good morning. Bye-bye.
Bye.